Dr. Carter was icy again today. He's always like that, sweetheart, but just one look from him is enough. If he spoke to me just once, I swear I wouldn't look at anyone else. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like, and comment. It would make us very happy. Whispers rising from the corridor echoed through the cold halls of Brooklyn Memorial Hospital in the early morning. Every intern who entered the surgical department on their first day would inevitably hear something about Dr. Elijah Carter. Generally, the things they heard were chilling yet awe-inspiring. Elijah Carter was a surgeon considered divine, using the scalpel with the delicacy of an artist, wielding it like a brush. But his heart, it was hard, icy, ruthless. The one thing missing in his accomplishments was compassion, and that was why, while they whispered about him with admiration, no one dared to approach him. He was a perfect man, but he was equally perfect at breaking hearts. Before the first operation of the morning began, as he silently washed his hands in the sterile area, his eyes caught his reflection in the mirror. He had tightly pulled back his jet black hair, allowing not a single strand to fall on his forehead. His sharp facial features and his clenched jaw, marked by suppressed anger, told of a man ready to explode at any moment. But his eyes, that was where it was truly frozen. There was no excitement, no compassion, no hope. Just a military coldness and sharp discipline. Those hands, they possessed a divine touch. Finding a vein with a needle was child's play for him. As soon as he held the scalpel, he ruled time. But those hands could also be ruthless enough to shatter a woman's heart. Elijah Carter was a good doctor, but a very bad man, especially when it came to being expected to love someone with feelings. A nurse's voice came from inside. "Our patient is ready, Dr. Carter," Elijah replied in a low voice while drying his hands. "Did you check the anesthesia?" The nurse nodded. "Yes, doctor. Everything is ready." Elijah adjusted his glasses, his voice cold. "Good. I don't want any delays this time. The second set of nurses should be inside. No one speaks. Just focus on your work." "Another," assistant doctor timidly interjected. "Dr. Carter, we need to have a brief meeting with the patient's relatives." Elijah shot him a sharp glance. "My job is to save lives, not therapy. If they have any questions, direct them to the psychiatry department." The silence he left behind echoed against the walls as he entered the room. When he walked in, everyone fell silent, because Elijah Carter brought his own rules into every room. Silence came with him. At the other end of the corridor, on the internal medicine floor, there was a softer morning. Dr. Maya Bennett was smiling at her assistants while sipping her coffee. A young nurse named Shonda approached and leaned slightly. "Doctor, the child in room 306 asked for you today. He smiles when he sees you, saying, 'The beautiful doctor is here.'" Maya took another sip of her coffee and nodded with a smile. "I'll visit him shortly. If he has a toy dinosaur, don't take it away. It's his guardian." Shonda giggled. "His mother said she dreamed of the doctor last night." Maya laughed heartily. "Fortunately, she doesn't make me cry in her dreams, or we'd have a tough time in the morning." She then turned to Damon. "And Damon, I will review the next blood tests. But don't forget to get that old lady some soup, okay?" Damon smiled. "Of course, doctor, you think of everything as usual." Maya nodded slightly. "Healing doesn't just come with prescriptions, Damon. Sometimes soup is medicine too." Maya Bennett was the jewel of the internal medicine department. She was in her early 30s and stood out with her milky coffee skin and naturally curled hair. In her hazel eyes, there was a wisdom mixed with patience. The white coat she wore complemented her elegant yet strong stance. However, what truly set her apart wasn't just her outer beauty, it was her inner goodness. Maya established not only medical, but also emotional bonds with her patients. She answered difficult questions calmly and found solutions in complex situations. Most patients spoke her name with a smile. The hospital staff would say of her, "She's not just a good doctor, but a good person. The voice of her heart is stronger than prescriptions." Maya was the doctor who knew her patients' names by heart, followed their children's university exams, and gave birthday cards to nurses. The hospital staff called her the angel doctor. But there was a deep and silent wound in Maya's heart. Years ago, her fiancé, with whom she had dreamed together and planned a wedding, had cheated on her with another doctor. That day, Maya lost not just a relationship but also her sense of trust. The most painful part was that the day she learned of the man's betrayal, she had to continue working beside him. She silently swallowed her humiliation, saving her tears for the morning. Since that day, she had not opened her heart to anyone. Perhaps her smile was never lacking, but her sincerity belonged only to her patients, children, and the elderly, because love had become a risk for her, and Maya Bennett was not strong enough to endure another broken heart. That day, a crisis broke out in the hospital. A 12-year-old boy was brought in with internal bleeding. An urgent joint intervention was needed from both a surgeon and an internal medicine specialist. When Maya entered the operating room, she found Elijah in front of her. Elijah scanned her from head to toe. There was not fear on the woman's face, but determination. "You must be Dr. Bennett from internal medicine." For a moment, Elijah's eyes wandered over Maya's face. She was younger than he expected, more beautiful. When their eyes met, the first thought that crossed his mind was, "She looks fragile, but there's no fear in her eyes. This is interesting." "Yes," Maya replied, her voice steady and calm, "and we need to save the child together." Elijah realized that a feeling he was used to suppressing stirred within him, a foreign admiration. But he reflected nothing on his face. Maya was also aware that the man in front of her was looking at her carefully, but was simultaneously acting as if he felt nothing. Both of their minds were filled with different sentences. Elijah, this woman is too calm, too impressive. Maya, this man is too sharp, too fiery. But what they expressed with their lips were only duty statements. They didn't reflect anything externally while silently conversing within themselves, because both had been convinced that showing emotions was a weakness. Elijah turned his face away. "What we need to do is clear. No need for excessive talking. I'm just saying we need to be a team, Dr. Carter." They both got to work. Maya was calm and meticulous. Elijah was harsh but flawless. The operation lasted hours. They were drenched in sweat. But in the end, the child clung to life. After the operation, as Maya sat down to catch her breath, Elijah stood before her. "You did a great job. So did you." A brief pause. "I'm saying this to someone for the first time." Maya looked up. "Then it means you have worked with the right person for the first time." Elijah's eyebrows raised. He smiled faintly, very briefly. Perhaps for a second. In the following days, Elijah began to find himself near Maya without even realizing. Sia, her calm voice, sweet smile, the way she held a child's hand. One morning during the rounds, they both happened to be at the door of room 306 at the same time. They had both come to check on the child's condition. There was a moment of pause. "Good morning, Dr. Carter," said Maya, smiling, but the calmness in her voice hadn't changed. "Good morning, Dr. Bennett," replied Elijah, not averting his gaze. His eyes lingered on Maya's face momentarily, but then he lowered his gaze to his notebook. They were both too controlled to admit that they felt something at that moment. But what was clear in Maya's mind was, this man is icy, but the silent storm within him hides a familiar pain. Elijah couldn't silence a thought echoing inside his head because of Maya's voice. "I want to sleep with her. But this is not just desire for the first time. It is mixed with something else, something dangerous." They examined the child together. While Maya talked to the little patient in her soft voice, Elijah was surprised by the natural harmony between them. Words were few, but the gaze exchanges continued gently. As they left the room, Maya slightly inclined her head. "See you, Dr. Carter." This time Elijah's voice was a bit softer. "See you, Dr. Bennett." And as they exited the child's room, they seemed to be stepping out of the beginning of something else. But only their hearts knew this, not their lips. That late at night, as they were leaving the hospital, they found themselves in the same elevator. The silence was long. "Why are you always so distant?" asked Maya, not looking at him. "Because people are untrustworthy." Elijah's voice was softer this time than its usual coldness, but he was still defensive. "Not all of them." Elijah looked at her. In a moment of silence, his eyes wandered over Maya's face. Then, unexpectedly, he asked, "Would you like to have a coffee with me after your night shift ends?" Maya flinched slightly. There was clarity in the tone of the question, but she still wore that frozen mask on her face, she thought. Her heart raced. "Sure," she said quietly. "But just coffee." Elijah nodded. "Of course. Just coffee." But his inner voice was saying something else. "I want to touch this woman's body. Beautiful. Clean. She seems trustworthy. But every woman has a weakness." Maya, on the other hand, was struggling with a different voice deep inside her. Maybe this time someone won't approach me just to hurt me. Maybe I can trust a little." But slowly. Very slowly. During the coffee break, they sat in the empty library of the hospital. A small table, 2 cups of coffee, and silence interrupted at short intervals. After the first sip, Elijah spoke. "Someone like you. Why are you still alone?" Maya paused for a moment, then a faint smile appeared on her lips. "If someone like you is asking this, that means loneliness is familiar to both of us." Elijah was surprised by this answer. It wasn't what he expected. Maya continued, "I'm trying to gather my heart from where I lost it. That's why I'm acting cautiously." Elijah lowered his head. "As for me, I never tried to gather it. I didn't gather it to not break it again." This statement touched Maya deeply. For the first time, she was seeing his broken side. Something was slowly forming between them. The following evening, Elijah again found Maya. "Did you eat today?" Maya smiled. "If an apple and coffee count, then yes." "Have dinner with me. Just a simple meal." "Just dinner, right?" said Maya, slightly tilting her head. After a brief pause, Elijah replied, "Not yet." They smiled. The sentences were short, but the meanings between them were profound. They both felt it. That evening, they dined at a tranquil yet elegant restaurant in the city after leaving the hospital. The table had candlelight, and jazz music was playing. In the background, their conversations were again short but intense. "Were you always this quiet?" asked Maya, as she gently placed her glass back on the table. Elijah shrugged. "I never consoled myself with unnecessary conversations." "But some sentences are not empty," Maya said softly. "Sometimes words are stronger than touches." Elijah's eyes lingered on her for a brief moment. The sentence was too deep, and it stirred something strange within him. Not much was discussed during the meal, but their eyes said a lot. When the evening came to an end, they said their goodbyes. Neither excess nor touch was there, but as they walked, they both struggled to avoid turning back. A week passed. They both thought about that night countless times. Elijah couldn't forget Maya's sentences, the way her hands touched the table. Maya couldn't shake off the weight of Elijah's silence. One late afternoon, they encountered each other in the corridor. Elijah stopped. "Did you eat properly this week?" Maya chuckled lightly. "Are you waiting for me to say it's another apple and coffee?" Elijah, without looking away, asked, "Shall we eat together again tonight?" Maya simply nodded. They both knew it was no longer just a meal. But silently, they began walking ahead. That night, both had put more effort into their appearance. Maya wore a simple yet elegant black dress. She let her natural curls loose and wore a little light makeup. Elijah looked as charismatic as ever, in a black shirt and dark gray suit, but this time he appeared slightly more put together. When their food arrived, the dialogue between them was once again calm, but what was rising inside them was something else. Whenever Elijah looked at Maya's lips and whenever Maya caught a fleeting glance into Elijah's eyes, both felt that this night was a turning point. After the meal, while Elijah was driving Maya home, There was a long silence in the car. As they reached the corner of the street, Elijah unexpectedly broke the silence from where he had remained quiet. "Can I come up for a coffee?" Maya thought for a few seconds. Her heart raced, but her voice remained calm. "Sure, you can." When they entered the door, their eyes met. Everything was quiet yet conveyed a lot. That night, no words were necessary. Elijah kissed her passionately, and Maya responded. Each touch called for more. Minds were silenced, bodies spoke. Neither of them thought about protection. They couldn't. At that moment, they simply desired each other. In a closeness they hadn't felt in a long time, they soothed their pains within each other. But the next morning, when Elijah woke up, his mind was clear. He thought about the night. For him, it was a moment of intimacy, a temporary passion. It shouldn't have been something deep. It shouldn't be related to emotions, and it shouldn't. He didn't call Maya. For 3 days, he sent neither messages nor made calls. Maya spent every moment under the influence of that night with Elijah. Her heart was beginning to feel something deeper. She couldn't admit she had fallen in love, but the peace she felt in his presence was real. And now, the silence was louder than anything. On the evening of the 3rd day, Elijah went to knock on Maya's door. When she opened, there was hope in her eyes, but Elijah's voice was firm. "We need to talk." They entered. Elijah stood up. "Maya, that night was beautiful. It really was. But we shouldn't give it a meaning. It was just a moment. We're working together. We can be friends." Maya avoided his gaze. She swallowed hard. Her heart was broken, but she preserved her pride. She merely nodded. 3 weeks passed from that day on. Elijah never saw Maya's eyes again. Not in the corridors, not in the cafeteria, not during morning visits. Each moment she didn't hear his name, the silence within him grew. Maya was gone. It was as if she had disappeared without leaving any trace behind. At first, not seeing her again was just astonishment for Elijah. But as the days passed, the void inside him began to expand. In the corridors, every woman with black hair reminded him of Maya. One day he found an old cup left on Maya's desk that read, "Life heals with patience." At that moment, he truly felt his breath taken away for the first time. Then he learned the truth. Maya had received an offer from a hospital in another city, and she had accepted it with a very quick decision. She hadn't said goodbye, nor had she looked back. When Elijah found this out, the first feeling he experienced was anger. So this was it, he thought. I was just a knight for her. Deep down, he had thought Maya felt the same way he did, but apparently, he had been mistaken. He wanted to believe his inner voice. If she truly felt something, she would have stayed and talked. She wouldn't have left so silently. But when he was alone at night, he couldn't forget Maya's gaze, her smile, the way her hands trembled that night. He thought he had buried Maya deep in his heart, but in fact, he hadn't evicted her at all. And now, Maya was gone, leaving nothing behind. Her absence had become the deepest void growing inside Elijah. But this time, that void became heavier by thinking Maya didn't care about him at all. Meanwhile, at that moment, Maya had learned a truth. She was pregnant. She was expecting a child from Elijah. Her heart was broken, her pride was intact, but she was no longer alone. 2 months had passed. Elijah could no longer maintain his usual coldness. He was entering surgeries with an aggressive and unstable mood. He was yelling at his team and couldn't tolerate simple questions. Growing regret was slowly eating him away, but he was still far from accepting it. One day, the child they had operated on together months ago came in for a checkup. Elijah examined him with the new incoming internal medicine doctor. The child was smiling, but something else caught Elijah's attention. The nurse Shonda in the room was looking at him with hatred. In her gaze there was hurt, anger, and disgust. As soon as the examination ended, Elijah called after her. "Shonda, is something wrong?" Shonda turned and spoke directly, not looking away. No. I'm just thinking about how much filth you are. Elijah's brows knitted together. What nonsense are you talking about? Shonda took a step forward. I know what you did to Maya. You broke her heart. You gave her hope, then crushed it. And that girl couldn't take it any longer and left here. Everyone knew how special she was, but you were the only one who didn't realize it. These words pierced Elijah's heart like a dagger. He felt breathless. His tongue was tied. All of a sudden, he felt that everything had become too late. Something inside him shattered. The growing regret bloomed into a flower for the first time. Tears welled up in his eyes. Then he did something he had never done until that day. He hugged Shonda, silently and trembling. Thank you, he whispered, for finally hitting me with the truth even if it's too late. Shonda stepped back, looking at Elijah in astonishment. What do you mean? Are you really sorry? Elijah shook his head, his throat constricted. I still can't forget her, Shonda. I couldn't even admit it to myself before. But with her leaving, something broke inside me. I've been working, living for days. But there's an empty space inside me. And only Maya's voice, hands, and smile can fill that space. Shonda's gaze softened, but she was still cautious. So, why did you act that way towards her? Why did you ruin everything? This time Elijah did not look away. Because I thought she didn't care about me either, her leaving silently. I assumed it meant nothing to me. But now I know. It's not her leaving that affected me. It was her silence that touched the deepest part of my heart, and I'm drowning in this silence. He paused, breathed. His eyes looked at Shonda pleadingly. Please, give me her address. Tell me where she is. I need to talk to her. It's late, but I can't give up. At first, Shonda shook her, head from side to side. Elijah, that girl really loved you. She broke, acted with pride, but she buried you in her heart. To avoid making you sad, she didn't talk about you to anyone. If you break her again, she won't be able to recover. Elijah held Shonda's hand, tears in his eyes. I swear. This time I will hold not only her heart, but her soul as well. Please, silence. Then Shonda took a deep breath and slowly nodded. Okay. But this is your last chance, Elijah Carter. You must prove that you deserve it. The next morning, Elijah set off. With anxiety in his heart and a mixed bouquet of red and white flowers in hand, he waited at the door of the new hospital. He had learned Maya's exit time. Each passing minute made him more anxious, and the regret in his heart was escalating. And then, Maya stepped out the door, walking slowly with files in her hand. But when she saw Elijah, she suddenly stopped. Her eyes widened, and her breath caught in her throat. Elijah was stunned, too. Maya's face hadn't changed. Her beauty was still the same. But his gaze fell to her belly. Maya was pregnant. His eyes involuntarily filled with tears. Maya, he whispered. Maya spoke without losing eye contact with him. Why did you come, Elijah? Elijah took a step forward, his voice trembling. Because I thought I was living. But I was just running away from you. I hurt you, lost you. But I never forgot you. Maya remained silent. Elijah continued. I thought you didn't care about me, but I made a mistake. I hid behind my pride. In fact, my heart stayed with you. Maya's voice was strained. I loved you, Elijah, but you pretended like nothing had happened, as if that night was nothing. I fell apart. Elijah did not avert his eyes. I fell apart too. But your absence completely destroyed me. I want to raise this child, together. I can't expect you to trust me again, but I will wait for you. Every day. Every hour. Because I love you. Tears streamed down Maya's face. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, then gently said, If you really love me, You need to be patient. Because this time, I won't easily give my heart to anyone. Elijah bowed his head. He smiled. I'm here to earn that heart. I'll wait. It's worth everything. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like and comment. It would make us very happy.